Everyone thinks a 400-watt panel automatically fixes your energy problems. But here's the thing, the sticker wattage is the least interesting part of the Canadian Solar HiKu 400W. Because in the real world, heat, shade, roof space, and wiring constraints decide who wins and who wastes your money. I went in skeptical, tested this panel for 3 weeks across cool mornings, hot afternoons, and ugly, hazy skies, and what I found surprised me. Not because it magically pumped 400W all day, it didn't, but because it quietly solved problems most panels in this class don't. Stay with me, because the biggest gain wasn't where I expected it. Before we dive into what I discovered and how it stacks up long-term, quick heads up. If you're already leaning HiKu and want the best current price, I've got the link below. But stick around, because there are a couple of wiring gotchas and one performance twist you'll want to know before you buy. Here's why I needed this panel. My garage subarray was underperforming in summer. My older 320W modules looked great on paper, but melted under heat and choked when a chimney shadow hit at 3 p.m. I had 2 rails worth of space left and needed max wattage per square foot without swapping racking. I also didn't want boutique pricing or mystery brand warranties. Enter Canadian Solar's HiKu 400W. Tier 1 manufacturer, bankable track record, 12-year product warranty with a 25-year linear performance guarantee. About 84–85% by year 25, and a reputation for rugged frames and consistent QA. I wasn't buying the hype though. Every panel is a hero at 25 degrees C in a lab. My questions were simple. How does it handle heat? What happens with partial shade? Does the half-cut cell architecture actually save me? And is the real daily energy harvest worth the upgrade? First, peak power reality check. On a cool, clear day with about 21 degrees C ambient, my MPPT logged a max spike of 388W around midday, with sustained output hovering 360–375W for over an hour. Respectable, but then the heat hit. At 33 degrees C ambient, cell temps climbed into the 55–60 degrees C range, and the panel settled around 320–335W. That lines up with the spec'd temperature coefficient near 0.37% per degrees C. Translation, it behaves honestly in heat. No miracles, but no nasty surprises either. Second, energy harvest over time. This matters more than a single watt peak. Over a clear spring day, one panel produced 2.10 kWh from first light to last. On a mixed cloud day, it delivered 1.52 kWh. On a truly overcast day, 0.68 kWh. Low irradiance response was better than I expected for a 400W monofacial. It didn't fall off a cliff in haze. I ran the same day next to a similar class panel from a popular competitor and saw the HiKu edge it out by a few percent on hazy mornings and late afternoons. Not night and day, but measurable. But then came the shade test, and here's where it gets interesting. The HiKu uses half-cut cells and a split junction box design, effectively creating parallel pathways across the panel. I taped a 2-inch strip across the bottom row to mimic a gutter or leaf line. Output dropped from 312W to 165W, not to 0. When I cast a narrow chimney-like shadow down the center, only half the panel took the hit thanks to the parallel split. I saw roughly a 48–52% drop instead of total collapse. That's the difference between charging a battery and stalling out at noon. You never plan for shade, but your roof disagrees. Installation and build. This module is not RV friendly. It's big. Roughly 79 by 39 inches, about 35 m thick and around 50 pounds. The aluminum frame feels stout with eyewash-free lamination and clean busbar lines. Rated up to 5400 PA snow load and 2400 PA wind, plenty for most rooftops. MC4 compatible connectors click tight. My measured open circuit voltage hovered around 4950V in mild temps, with VMP in the 40–41V range and IMP around 9.6–9.8A. For off-grid, that means MPPT is a must. On a 12V battery, you'll see up to the low 30s amps. Size your controller at 40A minimum per panel. For strings, cold weather VOC stacking matters in sub-freezing conditions. VOC rises. Do the math so you don't blow past your inverter's max input. Heat behavior again, because it matters. I logged a midday surface temperature up to 62 degrees C on a black frame sample. Output tracked the datasheet well, falling about 12–14% versus STC. Some panels claim magical low heat loss and don't deliver. Here, the honesty is the feature. Noise, hotspots, oddities, none. Junction box ran warm under max output but not alarming. Bypass diodes clearly did their job in the shade tests. No visible micro cracks or EL concerns out of the box. If you get the white backsheet variant, you'll squeeze a touch more efficiency versus full black aesthetics. Now the reveal. The most surprising thing wasn't the peak number, it was consistency. Over 7 days of mixed weather normalized against irradiance, the HiKu beat my similarly rated 405W competitor by about 3–4% in total energy yield, mainly due to better low light and less catastrophic shade loss from that split design. That's time and data talking, 3 weeks of logging, hourly notes on ambient and cell temps and side-by-side curves. And the too good to be true factor, it's not magic, it's engineering that shows up in lousy conditions, not perfect ones. If you're expecting 400W all day, look elsewhere. If you value harvest across real weather and the occasional tree shadow, this is where it pays back, compared to alternatives. Versus boutique high-efficiency panels, the HiKu usually comes in cheaper per watt while staying Tier 1. Versus true bifacial models, it can't harvest rear-side light. If you've got a reflective surface and standoff mounting, Canadian Solar's by HiKu would outperform. But on a standard pitched roof or ground mount with limited space and ordinary albedo, HiKu hits the value sweet spot. Warranty-wise, you're looking at around 12 years product and 25 years linear performance with roughly 0.5–0.6% annual degradation after year 1. That's competitive and frankly believable. Now that you know where the real gains are, consistent harvest and shade resilience, you'll want to grab these before pricing swings and stock gaps hit during peak install season. I've dropped the link in the description for the best current price I could find. Check it before it jumps. Bottom line, the Canadian Solar HiKu 400W is a workhorse, not a show pony. If you're a homeowner, homesteader, or off-grid builder with MPPT gear and limited roof space, this panel makes a strong case. If you're in a tiny RV, have severe all-day shading, or insist on PWM controllers, skip it. For most residential and small commercial arrays, it delivers honest, bankable watts with fewer bad surprises. Here's what nobody tells you: chasing the biggest number on the label is easy. Choosing watts that win on your actual roof is smarter.